Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Pussy Woman. Yay! Welcome to Dawn. So excited to have you here. Ooh, how are you doing?
Good. We're at the time of what was the Virgo full moon coming off that. So that's been a wild ride
Yeah.
that we've both been talking about.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. And for those of you who are feeling it, let us know in the comments because I love to have these dialogues going on. And before we dive right in, I'll share Dawn's name. It just feels really good to fully own it, feel it.
My brand entrance.
I'm like, where is the cape? Is what I'm feeling wants to.
I don't have a cape. I have a hat somewhere, but not accessible.
Okay, so Dawn is known as the Love Witch. Feel it, everyone. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Yeah. For relationships, dating, sex, and abundance. All the things.
Always.
All the good things. Um, oh, so yeah, the Love Witch, the Love Witch. Let's actually dive into that for a little bit because that is, would you say, a name that you've always resonated with? Um, or is that a recent switch?
It's a recent switch. But resonate, yes. I was always the go-to. I was always the go-to friend to talk about love and relationships and sex and all the things. I used to give my friends in high school, we would get in my car and I would give them therapy sessions. They each would get 30 minutes and I would talk about boys and dating and sex and stuff. So, although I didn't have the name, I've always been the Love Witch. But
It's
yes,
always been there.
yeah, it's always been there.
I love that.
When I switched it to the Love Witch and like primarily focusing on like dating and relationships, my husband was like, "Yeah, that's so you." I just love talking about relationships and helping people out. Uh, Specifically, I love right now dating,
Mhm.
even though I'm not dating.
I think that that's so great that it feels like you're kind of in who you've always been.
It's always nice to land. Although, as you know, constant battle.
Mm. Constant change as well, especially with this kind of work. And really, the more that we go on our evolutionary journey, it's like something comes to the forefront, doesn't it? It's like 1 minute you're focusing on that because that's what's coming up. And then maybe you want to move into something else. And I think when we're talking about like feminine leadership, I think that that's quite a big part of it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it definitely is. We're secular. I can never say that word. Spiral beings. Maybe you can tell me the word that I'm like. So like, yeah, it's always like shifting and turning, and that's why the present moment is ever fleeting. Because what I just said is no longer the present, and, kind of like things. So I do agree. As a feminine leader, we're constantly in that spiral, and like, I think what you do and what is part of my work is like the womb and the pussy
Mm-hmm.
is that spiral and getting grounded in that spiralness, with also allowing things to shift and grow and not being like they have to be this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of I feel like relief when we come to this place of feeling that you're constantly putting yourself in a box or pushing yourself into a box, which is something that we talk about a lot, isn't it? And something that you've journeyed with your shame healing, which I would love to hear a bit more about, coming out of those boxes of what society tells us we need to be and shifting into a place of authenticity through the healing of shame.
Yeah, I mean, I've healed. I mean, I'm a shameless Wylde, which that was shamelessly Wylde, and my last name's Wylde, and I've definitely done a ton of work of shame, still do shame work. But the box that I was in was I was sexually abused, I was used up goods, I would never find somebody, I was either not enough or too much. Also like a lot of stories around like what you can do for career wise and how you have to do that, like go to school. And um I'm actually one of the only people in both sides of my family who has a master's degree, but I was convinced that that was the way. I don't think I would have done it, to be honest, had it not been something that was putting me in a box. But how I, you know, shifted through all of this is my, tuning into pussy, my pleasure, and coming from that place of resource. Uh, and I don't know anyone who's tuned into pussy. It's a very like when you really communicate, very knowing and like very like this is what it is. You do have to do the healing work. If I had tuned in my pussy before, releasing all my sexual trauma probably wouldn't have been as like fuck that noise or fuck that bitch or fuck whatever, fuck the patriarchy, patriarchy. But post sexual abuse healing, which happened through orgasmic breath work with Jaya, um, you know, she's loud and in charge and she knows what she wants. She's not afraid. She's not willing to let anyone tell her how she's supposed to be.
Yeah, and that for some people who are like listening to this being like, wow, that level of kind of truth and sitting in who you are and like confidence, how did like I go about doing that? I suppose the next question is, how did you arrive at connecting with your pussy? What was the first kind of call to connect with her?
Well, yeah, so sexual abuse has been a huge part of my story, which I think for a lot of us feminine beings is, and just all us being in general, is we have really weird stories around sex and really weird things happen. And so I came across Jaya, and it was actually my husband who introduced me. And we were going for our own couples like stuff. We were not matching sexually, although we matched in so many ways. And he took the initiative, which was really amazing. And through Jaya, I discovered the world of pussy. I think I had hints of it because of my friend and Mama Gina and like learning about Mama Gina's stuff. And she definitely, I mean, she has a book called Pussy. And I think that like put like uh, a seedling in my brain that this was happening, but it wasn't until Jazz where I connected fully with my pussy, my pleasure, my genitals, and really started tuning into that work. With Mama Gina, it was so fun because, it was like this 3-day like event that was free, and all I had to do was figure out how to like get a flight there. And that was super fun because that was the first time I've ever even like heard the word pussy out loud. Like I used to like private parts or vagina or like not saying it, you just don't say it. Like that's not, and pussy this and pussy that, and then everything was pussy. And then feeling into the pussy. And then what I wanted to do was make out. And I got to make out. I made out with a bartender. because that's what, Pussy just thought that was so ridiculous. She's like, there's no way you can like do that, and so that was really fun. That was really fun. Actually, I totally forgot that we actually did text a little bit afterwards. I forgot about that, to be honest. I totally forgot about him. I don't even have that phone. So like, but that was that was a fun moment in time, and that's when Pussy like came into my brain and my awareness. And then when I really started to tune in was working with Jaya and the orgasmic breath work, where I just like released like from my body all the things that had to do with my sexual abuse and trauma, and it wasn't like it's hard to explain. It's like I'm aware that I was sexually abused. It's not activating, it's not triggering. That's the thing. It used to be so activating and so triggering, and every little thing would remind me of something of that, or remind me, and I couldn't like have sex, and I definitely couldn't like talk about my pussy because that's where I was sexually abused. Like, yeah, right. You know what I mean? And so after releasing that, like, it was game on.
Yeah. Yes, like you return to yourself without having those stories or imprints of other people or experiences that hold you back, don't they? When we kind of hold on to our trauma, unconsciously as well, it is really affecting our connection with our bodies, isn't it? It's such a big one as women. And I feel like a lot of people will resonate with that. So if anyone wants to comment or ask any more questions, like below, because I feel like that's a really beautiful share, because it's something that people find really, really challenging, and you're showing a way through the other side of that response, that like traumatic response that feels activated, like you said. So you're an example of having gone through the healing and what it looks like on the other side, which is, yeah, I feel really, really powerful to just hold that for a minute and
Yeah, I
celebrate.
mean, it's huge, and it's a huge part of the work I do. And I think anyone working with feminine is going to come across it. I mean, I'm also happen to be a therapist, and I know the stats. So, at least for the Americans, the stats are 1 out of every 10 women will be sexually abused,
Yeah.
which is like a shit ton if you think
Mhm.
about it. And all of my clients, I just had a client recently come to me, and she's like, can you just tell me, like, am I ever going to get over this? And I was like, I am
Mhm.
so proud to be that person to tell you, yes, you can, that this is actually a small part that has become huge. And when we take our power back, we take our pleasure back, doing the pleasure work, talking about sex, talking about the genitals as they are. We all think like, and I get it, like I lived it. If we ignore that, if we ignore those conversations, if we don't talk about our genitals or what's going on, or we don't have sex education, or we don't go in our pleasure, or we don't go in our pussy, then that's the healing work. And that's absolutely not, like, you got to get like you I'm now called in my marriage the sex nerd. Like, I just nerd out on, we go to Frolicon, which is like this kink event. Like, I don't actively do so many things in our relationship. We do a good amount because, like, keep it spicy, but it's mostly I just love to learn, because by learning it was more empowering than by me being like, oh my God, I can't, like, sex is icky. Not awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's leaning in, isn't it? It's leaning in to those parts of us that feel really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this comes to, my experience of the word pussy was super uncomfortable for me. It was really, really uncomfortable saying that word for a long time, because it felt like, oh, am I allowed to say that? All the stuff that came up, or I should feel like, that
It's dirty, right? Like that's
Inviting something too, you know, like you're inviting something. There's all of these layers of when we really dive into
yeah, you're a dirty,
this.
raunchy, horny
Yeah,
girl if you say pussy.
yeah,
And for like for me, pussy is power. For me, pussy is goddess. It's divine. It's all of that stuff. But you got to do the work to get there. And I get that people who haven't are extremely offended by the word pussy.
yeah, yeah, and
But I was there, right?
yeah.
When, Mama Gina's just, spreading her legs and saying, "Pussy." Like, whoa, you're old. You can't be saying that.
All of this stuff. And yeah, I would highly recommend looking up Mama Gina's book, Pussy a Reclamation, if this is feeling, triggering or interesting, or you haven't even had with Mama Gina, because, also that was me for a while, which is hilarious because I feel like she's my grandmother. I'm from like her lineage. I literally feel related to her. So yeah, it does take us looking at the things that are uncomfortable, sitting with them, getting curious as well. Why am I uncomfortable about this? And encouraging, our power to come back online. Like I don't want to feel like I can't say something or say a word because it's offending me. Do you know what I
Especially
mean?
habit, right? Like just us who have pussies and
Yeah,
being told you can't say that word.
yeah,
I don't know any man who's being sold he can't say dick or cock.
yeah, yeah. It There's so much baggage around the fact that we haven't been taught about this area of our body. Like it's just very real. It's very true, isn't it? That we haven't had like clear sex education. And when I was growing up, it was just like you said, we didn't talk about it. There wasn't a word. It was just like a woo woo or a you you or a
Oh
downstairs.
yeah, I like forget all the words for it, right?
Downstairs. It was
Down
your
the
downstairs.
bathing suit area has always been my bathing suit area. Um, if you think about it, if you wear a one piece, like you can't talk about your tummy. Um, yeah, I mean downstairs definitely. I'm trying to think. There's another word that we used to woo woo. Yeah. Uh,
Pee pee.
pee pee. Oh yeah, quite common. Quite
That's
common.
not the same. Like that's a part of it. Like the PP doesn't. It's like just going back to the basis of even
I mean, vagina
understanding
is not even the correct word, right? It's
that.
vulva.
Yeah,
So, and vagina, like, that was what we were taught
yeah.
in, science later,
Hmm.
and kids would giggle.
Yeah.
Vagina.
I know.
I'm giggling for a different way. I'm giggling at how ridiculous we are.
But I really highly recommend if you haven't looked at even a diagram of your pelvic floor and all of the pelvic floor muscles that there are, and just the intricacy and the quality of this area of your body. It's so sensitive. It has the most sensitive area. Like I don't know how many the clitoris has
Yeah,
how
it's
many nerves.
10,000, right? I think it's 10,000. You guys can correct us if we're wrong. It's 10,000 nerve endings, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah. It's just this rocket that's kind of ready to go off at any moment. Like the power of
This
that. So when you really tune
little
in,
pocket rocket.
when you
Yeah.
tune into the energy, think about, how much is being repressed if you're also like holding on to that. So that is why there's so much power in connecting, reconnecting, becoming curious, just really listening as well
I
to
mean, that's why we're both moving, if you all can notice. Me and Gigi will move, is because I see so much in my clients and it's not their fault. Trauma for humans, we have traumatic reactions, and right, that's like body keeps the score. We keep it in our bodies. We stiffen, we stiffen, we stiffen, we stiffen instead of moving, which me and Gigi are doing, because we're processing information. We're supposed to be like animals, or if you've seen dogs, like they're shaking it out. They're always shaking it out and processing information, and that's what we're doing. And I specifically think that's helpful for the pelvic floor, because instead of tightening your vulva, tightening your pussy, like keeping it tight, right? Like mine feels nice and relaxed. I can like go with the flow. I can feel into it. I'm gonna be TMI. I'm a little bit juicy. So like that's what happens. But when I see a lot of my sexually abused clients, which is totally fine because nobody's taught this, right? We can't know what we don't know. It's just so much tight, and then they have pelvic floor problems and have to go to pelvic floor therapists because of the tightness.
Yeah, that's a really important part, because I went through that journey myself with the reclamation of pussy, is really letting go of all of the tension that I was holding in my pelvic floor, all of the tension that I was holding in my body, all of the tension I was holding in my upper shoulders, all of the tension I was holding everywhere to, you know, protect this area, you know, this trauma that we're kind of protecting. And so yeah, when we go into really dropping into like feeling about, or like seeing how that feels in your body when you actually like let go of any place right now that you're feeling tense, and you just like soften into your hips. And I always like invite people to, you know, really roll their hips, like circle their hips, to you know, just let go and actually like come home to your seat of self. This is your seat of self. And if you're not like sitting in it, you're going to be like trying to get out as well, which is very much a trauma response, isn't it? Of like, I need to get out. I'm not safe to be in here. I'm not safe to like soften. I'm not safe to let go.
Something that we've talked about before, which is not integrating, right? So we pop out every time if we can't be in our seats. If we can't integrate, we learn something new, we expand, that has an uplifting feeling to it, has an energizing, expansive feeling to it. And if we can't integrate and be in our bodies and be with ourselves, then it feels uncomfortable. It feels like trauma. It may not be trauma, but it feels scary. That's
yeah.
why when people go through expansions, they have contractions. But if you have an expansion and then you integrate in your body, you shake it out, you be with it, which we've talked about, Gigi. Then it's not that you don't lift up a little bit, like we're not perfect, but we and we contract way less. Like I don't know if you've ever had like a huge expansion. I definitely have. And then it's just like days of like in my bed, like even though it was like super really good, like you know, the time my 30K medical bill got completely paid for, like it was super exciting, and I was like, but I didn't know at the time to like integrate. And then I was, you know, I have all those feelings of feeling unworthy, or like it didn't happen, or blah blah blah, like all of these things, instead of, had I at the time known to integrate, I would have been like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, sitting in the body and expanding your capacity through being and moving and shaking and dancing and whatever it is that feels good for you.
Stretching and yawning. We're taught, I don't know, this might be from English society. We're taught yawning is rude, right? I feel like, am I incorrect? Am I making
No, you're right.
I feel like when I went to London and like our bodies I like to yawn all the time, and all that is releasing. It's releasing the tension in my face, everything. It's another way to stretch, and then releasing all the way up and getting it out. But we're yawning.
Yeah. And there's so much tension in the jaw in general, like the holding on, which is a reflection of your pelvic floor. If your jaw is tight, that's an exact reflection of your pelvic floor, which makes so much sense, hey?
It does. I'm also reminded, uh, I'm gonna get dirty in a but you can do exercises before you give a blowjob.
Yes.
I will.
So that's a real big problem as well when we are holding tension in our jaw, isn't it? That it is.
I know. So do your blowjob exercise.
Yeah. It was yeah, it's an issue if we're not feeling comfortable and yet we're wanting to give pleasure, but we're not feeling comfortable. We're not physically able to actually like soften and open. It's like receiving pleasure, within our pussies as well. If it's tense and tight, we're not going to be feeling open and receptive and like connected and intimate
Oh
within our
yeah, I
own
used to
body.
not enjoy being eaten out because, right, there was so much tension and contraction in there. And so, you do the thing where you'd be like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Get up here.
Yeah.
No,
So much
now that's not
shame.
the case. That is not the case.
No. It's also where shame builds, isn't it? And shame grows is where we're holding on to these tense parts of our bodies. And then when we're either coming up against or we're wanting pleasure in our bodies, we're wanting pleasure or we're wanting to give, we're wanting to receive or to give pleasure. That's where the shame is stopping that natural connection within our own bodies and our pleasure sensations and with another partner. Really that stops and that blocks that deep desire for intimacy. And I know for me, like the more that I've gone into emotional de-armoring and letting go and releasing in my muscles, in my body, really working with these specific places in my body, the more that I've been able to open to receive pleasure and open to intimacy in my relationship. It's all
Yeah.
connected, isn't it?
And then when you think of everything as giving and receiving pleasure, because I'm thinking about, like, I don't know why the blowjobs, but blowjobs, if in a pleasurable place, can actually, and men, you're gonna like love me right now, can be very pleasurable, actually heart chakra opening.
Yeah. And throat chakra, of course.
And throat chakra, of course, of course. Um, I actually think I've done that before where I'm like, clear it out. I don't know what to do. And then, I mean, and if we want to go the other way, eating pussy is like having sweet nectar of the divine. So you're just like, you're all in. I really want a world where we put pussy worship again. That's the world I want.
Yeah.
In a way that's sacred.
Yeah. Yeah. And an understanding of like coming together is sacred and coming together with each other's bodies is sacred and really honoring like each other's bodies and really honoring your own. And I feel like actually that like with the pussy worship, like how can you worship your own pussy as an invitation?
One of my favorite things, and it's just out of pure laziness, but one of my friend does the genital stickers or whatever. What are they? Like you bedazzle your pussy.
Oh, bejazzle.
Bedazzle. I recommend. I literally have just not done it because out of like sheer laziness. But like if you ever want to just like look at your pussy and bedazzle it, I highly recommend.
It's such a
I'm like, I look at my pussy all the time and just like, you're great as is. You're wonderful.
That's so healing. So healing. So healing. So really, this is what you can expect working with Dawn.
Dude, I got way more sexual than I have in a minute. So I guess it's coming out. I guess it's coming out. Yeah. Definitely it I I always say that the earth is the clit of the universe. We're really I don't know where it got lost in translation, but earth is actually supposed to be super pleasurable. Think about all the pleasurable things we have in the world. And that's really what it's about working with me, is being in that pleasure, which then magnetizes those desired relationships, those love matches, all of those things, because when we're like this, right, we're getting like this energy, which is like, I don't know if I want to be in a relationship. I don't know if I want to be in a relationship with you. I don't know if I should pay for dinner. Like, we're attracting all of this energy that we actually don't want to. It's really not our fault. But as we like tune into our bodies more and more, the more we can connect and be that magnet, the more it's like, ooh, like, what's going on over there? I want
Mm.
a little bit of that party.
Yeah. Yeah, it's empowerment versus disempowerment of feeling like you're victim. You're a victim to everything. That no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. Oh no, this doesn't feel good. Instead of, oh, this feels good, or oh, that feels good. Oh, maybe that doesn't feel good as well, which is what comes online, is like what your desires are and what your wants are, instead of just that general feeling of I can't do it. I love it. Being open to really receiving the match, the love match. And that
And
is
there's a
your,
million of them, you all. There's a million love matches. I go on a big spiel about this, so I'm not going to take up the time to do it. But there are millions of people who want to be with you. When I found my person, I found two at the same time, and it was up to me to decide what was my love match. But both of them were really into me. They were kind of fighting for my affection. It was awesome. And that's why I just want to break that falsehood. What that idea, that state of mind of there's nobody out there for me. There's a billion people on this planet. Trust me. There
yeah.
are people out there. And you can be a magnet to them so that you don't have to go out there even looking for them.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that is that's also bringing me into what your program is at the moment. What is that called?
It's desired rose. You are the desired rose, the 12-month mentorship, one-on-one. And it's really all that we've like talked about is becoming the magnet. And I think ultimately what's being birthed is for us to remember that we individually are the prize. And I think in society, we've gotten a little into like, we have to prove to somebody else that we're worthy. And I say, just by being you, magnetic, wonderful, full vibrational, authentic you, you're going to attract exactly that right person to you. And you can even do it in relationships. Like, I've only become, my husband can literally hear me. I think he just, um, I think I've become even more magnetizing because I've become more and more and more in my power in my relationship and been like, no, like, you will desire me for the rest of your life.
And with like friendships as well. You find like all in all ways you become, a magnet to the right kind of supportive, loving relationship.
I mean, we were magnets to each other. That's why we're here today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was kind of getting at. I was like, I wonder if she's gonna say me.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely magnets to each other. We're just saying the same things, similar things, not the same, and having the similar vibe going about life, and we still do. And that's magnetizing. And then you also lose relationships, which is a whole other ball game, but it's okay. You lose the relationships that are not in that energy anymore.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Whew. And that just like relief of being yourself is the blueprint to like really being and living and embodying the life that you want.
100%. Throw out that motherfucking rule book. I don't know who wrote it. Don't listen. I was told so many things that I had to do in order to get my husband. One of them being a friend of mine told me, if you want him to be your boyfriend, you better not sleep with him the first night. Well, bitches, I did, and I'm married around 8 years. And I'm not friends with that friend.
No. Yeah, all of those rules. Nope, nope, nope. Find your own rules, the rules that feel good and empowering and empowered.
Yeah, and find the friends that empower you. Be like, yeah, you get yours.
Yeah.
He'd be lucky to have you.
Ah, exactly. Wow, what a full conversation and so much good stuff about sex and releasing shame. That feels so good, so important. Such a such a good offering for people to get stuck into. So if there's anything that has like popped up or resonated, or you want to know more or ask questions, please like comment below. And also you can reach out to either of us. I'm going to put Dawn's all of her info below. And yeah, it's been a slice.
And I just wanted one thing before, we both say goodbye is I don't want to put shame on top of shame. Healing sexual trauma is no easy thing. It's definitely something that's very real. And so to give yourself some grace if you're not there yet, because like I said, you just don't know what you don't know. And it's something that's very discouraged and very still like hidden. Like you go take care of that thing there. And so I just want to give you a big hug. You are in the best place in your journey. You are in the right place. And do not add extra shame to something that's already feels shameful.
Yes, yes, yes. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's go higher. Sending everyone love. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Bye.